Hello everybody. Right, weather's nice, we're out in the garden again. Why not? Lovely. So what do we do this week? It was the big test this week, wasn't it? It was the class 2 and I'm very pleased to say I passed, and it really was 50-50. The amount of training I had before it, I thought there's so many things, so many minor things that you can slip up on, and I thought, but no, I was dead lucky. And thank you very much to everybody. I won't mention your names because it's a bit sort of a bit self-congratulatory, isn't it? Really, but thanks to everybody who said well done. We'll open with Godzilla's comment on it, which was ha ha ha, you big tart. He says well done. He says. I knew I passed mine when the tester says, you know your way back to the test centre, don't you? I'm going to have a sleep. Well, that does trump mine when the guy started to give me advice on what I need to do to actually get through it. But brilliant. Anyway, but before the test, I did one on worst jobs, because I know I have a tendency to sort of go, it's fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. And it's not fantastic. Some jobs, like as it turned out Monday, was the best day I've ever had. But they might happen once a year. I really can't see me repeating that in a hurry. Worst jobs again. If it's the worst job, it's going to happen once a year, and then there'll be the best jobs, and then there'll be the grey area and everything in between. So. Corrigan 71 says, I always ask if there's any stairs involved, also parking, etc. That I always found that particularly with the removals. Is there a key exchange? Is there stairs? Is there access? Can I park? That's a bigger deal. On the just the courier kind of things, most of the time you're kind of going to be okay with depots and stuff like that. But as always, it's not always that straightforward. I did my wing mirror covering when I was on a multi-drop on Friday and decided I had to reverse it down this lane, and I'm doing it. Yeah. Again, thinking I'm brilliant, I'm class 2 now. 10 seconds later, crunch. What was that? Where did that telegraph pole come from? Fortunately, it's just a plastic cover. 13 quid off Bison Parts. Bison Parts in Ring the Dash, brilliant. And Longfinger says on a worst job, he said the worst jobs are when you set off early and you're 100 quid up at 11 a.m, then you sit there for 6 hours and you don't get a backload and drive home empty, then you're on barely minimum wage. That's happened to me 100 times. You're not wrong, mate. Massively frustrating. I found that happens much more in January and February, and also happened a lot more in the lockdown. What I've taken to doing, and everybody's situation is different in the truck now, but also on the back of Monday, it's like, for example, my first job on Monday, I'm picking up 9 o'clock, which is a little bit late for me. I'm not keen on that, but it's in Dunstable, so I kind of figure it's the equivalent of picking up 8 o'clock in Slough. Well, I've got to drive an hour to get it. This one's bang on my doorstep, and that's got to go up to Derby. When I get to Derby, hopefully I'll find something coming back, but I'll go anywhere. If the right job pings up for the right money, I'll go anywhere, because I've now clocked it with this Travelodge thing. I'd rather get big money on the second job of the day, and just kip out for the night, than have to sort of. I don't want to limit my scope for the rest of the day, but no, I know exactly what you're saying with that, mate. Yeah, very frustrating. On the subject of the best day, which was Monday, Chris C says, glad you're having a good week. Mine's been a bit rubbish. Yeah, it happens. Today's first day of the week, I've been working. Basically, he's been waiting for his broadband. That's another thing that frustrates me. Broadband, the upload speeds are far too slow. Monday he was supposed to come out, geezer, didn't. So Tuesday, then he said he was supposed to come out Tuesday, didn't show up. Monday didn't show up. Had an electric safety check, and they had to wait for that. So yeah, that's the kind of thing it does. I mean, I was off the road Wednesday and Thursday because of my test, but I'm kind of pleased because I passed it. And I'm also kind of pleased because Monday was fantastic. So even though I was off the road for Wednesday and Thursday, I still nearly hit my target for the week, but I'd done it in 3 days. So I was just lucky, He says, had a delivery to wait this morning, but got it early, managed to get it off before lunch. It's now £4.20, sitting in a lay-by on the outskirts of Crewe. The sun is shining. I've decided I'm going to work out whether to park up or walk back to the pub I saw a minute ago. I'm going with the latter on that one, my friend. I hope you did. I hope you had a nice cold beer in a garden, and appreciate the fact that we can actually get back out there again, So, Paul Davis says, thanks for the videos, kind of thing. But he says, remember they teach you how to pass a test, not how to drive. Yeah, this is true. I was on the test, and the guy turned around, and what I wanted to say to him, but I just decided to keep my mouth shut, so I have a tendency to open my mouth, my brains fall out. Was I did tell him on the test. I said, look, I drive a 7.5 ton every day, which is practically identical to this. And he said, I don't think it's identical to this. I said, well, this one might be a metre longer, but literally everything. And this one's an automatic. And I told him I normally drive a manual. I thought that's going to go in my stead because surely driving a manual is better. I don't know. But what I wanted to say to him was, I know I can drive a lorry safely because I drive a lorry safely every day. But what I have to show you is that I'm aware of everything and to prove to you that I can drive a lorry safely, and that's why I'm driving it the way that I'm driving it right now. But once again, you could come unstuck with that one, so I just kept my mouth shut and it turned out all right. So, Corrigan 71 again said, right, if it's not too cheeky, how much was your best day? My best day was 750 in a Luton after expenses. My best day in a Luton, that's actually for a day. That's very, very good. I think I did 700 once in a Luton, but it wasn't after expenses, and it wasn't a day. That was the Street Fighter job. It started like on a Wednesday night and finished on a Friday morning, or the Tuesday night and finished on a Thursday morning. So it wasn't even a day. You've done very well with that one, my friend. I'll be honest with you guys, because I'm always honest with you, and I kind of feel embarrassed to say this. The machine I had to take up there, the metal machine, was 153 miles. And he's an end user customer, but he's a guy who used to work on the exchange. He's my mate, Simple Brian. And I charge him $250 a mile, which is a very reasonable rate. So I got £390 for running the machine up there. And then the Caerphilly job, because I knew that nobody wanted it. Sorry. I knew that nobody was going to want to drop or was going to be in a position to drop at 7 o'clock in Caerphilly at night time. It was 191 miles. I quoted them 18-ton money. I quoted £3 a mile, but because I couldn't be bothered to do the maths, I rounded it up. So I thought 191 miles. That's nearly 200 miles at £3 a mile. I charged them £599.50 because you know, heard of 50 cent, 50 pence. I always put 50p on my jobs because that used to be the way that Gemma could identify that the jobs are coming through to me, and it's just something I've stuck with. So that if a quote comes in, she knows it's me, not one of the other drivers. And it came through instantly. So I got £10.50 short of £1,000. So short of a piano. But yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that kind of things, but like I say, I don't think I'll ever. I severely doubt I'll ever match that money again. And also, I was dead lucky. I actually got, I say dead lucky, I had to drive from Caerphilly to Exeter to pick the job up the next day, but I actually got out. It's not always that easy to get out of Wales. And what you can find sometimes, you'll have a phenomenal day the first day, and it'll get usurped the second day because you've stuck yourself in a difficult area. You basically painted yourself into a corner, and everything you gain on day one, you can lose on day two. But these are things, you know, you do you. Godzilla's, he says, cool. The day in the life. I did the day in the life video. Because I'm now into video editing software, and I might get myself. I'm thinking I might get myself one of those GoPro things. I was speaking to my mate Nick, who's on the London Creative thing. He's very good on the video. It's London Creative. His name is. He's a bit wayward, but he does video editing and how to frame things in photos and stuff like that. And if you do get the opportunity, if you watch his channel, if you could give him a subscribe, everyone loves a subscriber, like, you know. But he's bang on all this kind of stuff, and he's giving me a lot of advice on how to add like soundtracks. But as I get more and more au fait with it, should you want to see it, I'll do it. But at the moment, I'm real Janet and John stuff. I'm real starter, like, you know. So, but we'll get into it. He says anyway. So Godzilla's. He says nice video. He says knowing at your trips. If someone, all right, so here's some tips here. If someone has longer forks, slacken off the other curtain. I've heard that before. Or open up the other curtain, particularly if the driver doesn't look like he knows what he's doing, because they can pierce your curtain and then you're done. He says having a chap saying sorry, he's for the next 2 hours when for the next when the fork's gone through the curtain, you know, sorry doesn't really cut it, does it? Like, you know. The other thing on I said on the T-bars, you know, we got the T-bar thing. It comes up like that, and you put the hook under. He says put the hooks the other way, because what I did, I put the hooks. So say the curtain is here, and the T-bar comes up like that. I put the hooks that way. He said put the hooks that way. He said because basically when you run round, it doesn't drop out, because it just falls flat, whereas before it would fall flat that way and then would drop out. Mate, as always, I am here to learn from the wise guys that know much more than me, so thanks very much for the tip on that one. I will be incorporating that into my daily routine. Paula Bevan says, what software are you using, Pete? It's called Filmora. Apparently it's the same as iMovie. The kid said I found out afterwards again, if you go to the London Creative thing, I'll see if I can get him to do some stuff on this kind of thing. But apparently there's a free one out there, the ones that all the TikTok mob use. And there's also, the kid says there's one called Script or something like that. I'll see if I can get my mate Nick to do a few of these videos. And then if that's your thing, maybe go over there and he'll sort it out for you. In the meantime, as soon as I work it out, I'll let you know. I've also bought myself a new Taco downloading thing. And as soon as I sort that one out, I'll let you know, because it comes with absolutely no instructions whatsoever. It took me forever. Well, it didn't take me forever. It took me a good half hour to work out how to do it. But I'll do a video on that. That's kind of what I do. So, but yeah, the software's called Filmora. It cost me 65 quid to buy forever. I preferred that. I'd rather do that than pay on a monthly. I don't like this pay monthly things, but it's the way the world is going. So, and finally, domain name guy says, perfect. Now you can do a video explaining how you video the video. Yeah, it's going to be like that thing where you've got all the mirrors, and you just see them disappearing off into the background, or not. Right, that was on best day ever. On my test. Thank you for all the congratulations. Like I say, I really appreciate it. I was very nervous. But I woke up on the second day and thought, if I focus, I can do this. So I'm now looking for an 18-ton. Got me on a Mercedes. Nice one. Yeah, kind of. It's not super deep. It's only Euro 5 and it's done 500,000 miles. But as I spoke to my mechanic, I said, if these will do 1 million miles, wouldn't they? He said, Ian, who's the other guy he looks after, has got lorries that have done 2 million miles. And I'm a big fan of the Jigsaw van. I'd almost rather buy a lorry cheaper and then spend the money putting the new parts on it than buy a dearer lorry hoping the parts are good and find out I'm coming unstuck. But advice on that one, guys, as always. Mark Everson says, well done, Pete. He says, I know how you're feeling. For those of us that have been through it, there's nothing like it when they say, I'm pleased to tell you you've passed. Oh, mate, the relief. I lost my digicard. There's a video coming out in the next couple of days. I'll watch this space. The relief also threw me a googly. Now get some experience. Now get some experience at Class 2, then go for your Class 1. Now you know what it's all about. Have a few scoops this weekend. That was another reason why I didn't go out on the Thursday. I had a beer, just one beer, and then I cut the grass and went to BMN's and stuff. But I thought, I don't want to go out in a lorry today. I'm just gonna take it in, So, but yeah, and I'd also the advice that Brendan gave me at Hughes Driver Training. He said, because you can do your class. Actually, let's just come back to that. Just because just remember this feeds on. We'll come back to that. Which Way Now says, well done. You brought back nervous memories of doing the PCV. No one likes an exam, do they? Frightening things. Domain name guy says, congrats. I prefer to mow to work the mow the lawn. Class 1 next. Maybe Class 1 next. I don't know. The truth is, I don't know if I need it. If we're not really planning to run Arctics, and if we are going to run an Arctic, I probably won't be the one driving it. But then the fact that I don't need it might not be the reason why I don't do it, because sometimes you want to do it just because you can do it. The other thing I have thought about doing suddenly is I thought about maybe having to go at the transport manager thing, but that's just basically because I'm getting the hang of Taco Master. But I think that's so far into the future. I think we need a superhero Daniel on that score. I have a sneaking suspicion it would not be the easiest exam in the world. Don't know if I really want to take that one on, but it's always good to learn new things. Maybe I'll learn to ride a motorbike. Maybe I won't. Where are we? Again, Paul Davis, congratulations, P, Class 1. He said, personally, I couldn't think of anything worse having driven Class 1 for the last 10 years, but I understand the sense of achievement. Once again, congratulations. And then he goes on to say, if you've already got Class 3 back in the day, I learned to drive Class 3 in the Army, then straight to Class 1, never touch Class 2. Not sure if you can still do this. And apparently, according to Steve Campbell, you can't. You have to go to Class 2 before you go to Class 1 since 1997. So if you think you can't just basically go and do your Class 1 test, you've got to do your Class 2 test and then your Class 1 test. And as Brendan says, he said, you're better off doing your Class. That's my driving instructor at Hughes Driver Training. He says, you're better off doing your Class 2, then being in a Class 2 for 3 to 6 months, because once you do it, you start looking at how Class 1s drive, and looking at them as they go around roundabouts, talking to drivers. He says some of them will turn around and they'll tell you, they'll give you hints and tips. Some of them will go, oh, what do you want to do it for? It's rubbish. I hate this job. He said, but yeah. So, but I like to say, I'm not. I don't know. The only thing I have got is I know that my medical and my theory test are good for 2 years. But because of the lockdown thing, that kind of became 1 year because it's taken me so long to get my Class 2 test booked. So I don't know how much time I've actually got before I've got to do the whole thing all over again. And that does make it a double nose. I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going to go forward. Just watch your space. I'll keep you informed. Oliver Gunn says, got excited when you said Hughes driver training because I see their trucks around us. But a quick search on Google Maps, it comes up with dozens of results. Anyway, hope you passed. Yeah, it took me two attempts. I was lucky. I really was. No, I think they are everywhere, but my base is just outside of Dunstable. That's where my mob are. So I'm sure they're all over the place, but that's where mine are. So Leanne says, well done. Thanks, mate. He said, oh, yeah, bless him. He said, I'm having to go back on the coaches and my shoulder can't cope with the manual stuff, can't even open the curtains. Because he basically fell off the side of the lorry, didn't he? And he'd done his collarbone in. And he couldn't wait to get back to it. But, well, hopefully you'll get better soon. Alternatively, yeah, I don't know. I get it, mate. I'm sorry for you. I'm just ashamed that. I mean, if you was in an Arctic, they probably wouldn't. You still got to do the curtain, haven't you? Yeah. So, sorry, my friend. I hope you feel better soon. James Holly says, congratulations, Pete. Thank you. When you get your Arctic, it's they're fun to drive. I was so happy and relieved when I got my pass certificate. I don't know. I would like to be able to do it. And then it never stops, does it? You think, right, I can drive an Arctic. Now I'm going to learn to fly a plane. Now I can fly a plane. I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter. Now I'm going to learn how to drive an oil tanker. I think you either like driving or you don't. It doesn't really matter what you drive. Chris C says, well done, Pete. You're right with taking your time, not just on Class 2 like you. He said, I remember learning to drive a car and I was always rushing, moving off in traffic, doing manoeuvres because I felt I was holding everyone up. That was the thing. I kept thinking of people behind me, thinking they're waiting for me. And that was another thing I think actually could still be in good stead because they make you do a hill start. And where I am, they say, stop here. And you're basically going down a single track road and it's a slight hill. And they know there's traffic behind you. So I think they know what's coming. So you just stop, put your handbrake on, the guy behind toots. Like, what are you doing? And I think he's looking for your reaction. And I didn't react at all. I'd done the same thing yesterday. Guy tooted yesterday. I thought, I'm doing as I'm told, go around me. And I think they're looking to see how you would deal. I think they intentionally do it to see how you deal in a crisis. And when I didn't react at all, I was just like, I think that brownie points on that score, So he said my instructor's always telling me to take my time. So that was it on test. So moving swiftly on to miscellaneous, try and get it all done in one day today, I think. David Cosley says, reference car, if you want car work, he says places to work, Next, Very, the catalogue Very. I've delivered to the distribution centre. I'm normally there for ages. I hate it. And Amazon, you can do in cars. I think it's called Amazon Flex. It's called Amazon Flex? Yeah, we're on the relay, Amazon Flex. So if you've got a car, you want to be a courier driver, there are 3 places you can go. SK Courier. Can you tell me, please, which is the best company for a long wheelbase? Kind of doesn't really work that way. As shippers, your customer will ask you to do a job, and it doesn't tend to be like every job can be different. We get ones for like we might have to deliver a chain, and the next day we might have to deliver a 2-ton digger bucket. It all comes from the same place. So there's not one particular place that always wants long wheelbase vans. The best thing to do, if you're on the exchange, you can put your parameters in. There is a video that shows you how to put your parameters in, where you can just check out long wheelbase vans and then just see what's available for you in the area. That would be the way forward. B. Carroll says, BK Carroll, or B. Carroll, he says, because he used to do the day in the life videos back in the day, I think a little while ago. He said, He said, I've done one a few years ago and got some decent views out of it. Sounds like everyone's moving from vans to rigid. If I do the O licence, I'd be looking for an Arctic truck, but not to drive. Getting drivers and subbing it. Basically, there are 2 ways of going about the exchange thing, and there are 2 ways. I was speaking to a guy during the week who just phoned me up, and not everybody wants to be a driver. Some people want to be a shipper. You can do both. To be a driver, you need a van. To be a shipper, you need customers. But if you don't really want to drive a van, if you just want to sub out to drivers, you want to focus on doing customers, but you've got to get your customers, and they're not easy to find. I want to do both. I want to be a shipper and a driver. So we'll see. Corrigan 71 again said about the house, I thought it was a green screen. No. I get that, but no, I'm very lucky. It's not Screech Ring. Michael K. We'll have to change my transits. Looking for short wheelbase 2018 van, but is so many with so many miles. I want something reliable. I was thinking of VW Transport. Any advice would be appreciated. My advice, like I say, I'm a jigsaw van fan. Is I personally I would go on eBay. Go on Auto Trader, check out things in the area, Facebook Marketplace, have a look around, see what's available, and get the best one you can for the money. You may find that it's not a VW. You may find that actually there's a Vito in there that really fits the bill. You might find there's a Transit that really fits the bill. Some guy's trying to get rid of it because he needs to get rid of it in a hurry because he's decided to move home or something like that. I also get the best fan you can on the lowest mileage for your budget, and be prepared to spend a few quid on it, getting it up to speed when you get it. It's a lottery. There is no way around it, we are on it. Pete says, can you have a word with your CX about the idea of what 3 words? I'm not affiliated with them, but I've made a list. I'm going to ring up. I did one once about 2 years ago. No, it can't be 2 years ago. It's in the lorry. Is it the lorry? Must have been about a year ago. Actually, no, it wasn't in the lorry. It's in the van. It must have been in the van. Yeah, it was in the van. I remember I parked it. That was a really boring thing. I went out with a lady who designs the app. Her name's Alice, and I'm going to ring her. But I think maybe they might have a difficulty that if they want to incorporate what 3 words, then maybe the what 3 words app might want to charge them. I don't know, but it would be brilliant. I mean, I was explaining it to my father-in-law last night, and you can actually get a block for the back door and the front door. If you could get a what 3 words that took you directly to the transport office or directly to the gate of where you need to go in, wouldn't that be fantastic? I'll have a word with them. I'll let you know what they say. Which I'll probably, I don't know, we'll see. Lee Westcott says, on pricing, I always quote on the higher side, and yes, you will lose some jobs at the end of the day. If you quote the right amount of money for doing less work, but if you quote the right amount of money, you end up doing less work for the same kind of money, I think is what he's saying. It's always been my way of going for the last 17 years, and always will do. I get what he's saying. You can get a bit desperate, so you start quoting cheap on a job, and then at the end of the day you think, well, by the time I take my D's and the aggravation out, I shouldn't have bothered. So yeah, sticking to your guns is often the right way. And the other thing I will find, particularly if you've got time, particularly with the lorry jobs, is the first jobs that ping up often disappear quite quickly, because you'll get the guys that are quoting cheap and you just wait for them to disappear, and then when they disappear you start quoting the proper money, and then you get the proper money. So there you go. Domain name guy again says, for those on the CX that accept multi-drop, try booking for the following day and not the same day. He says, because if you can book for the following day, if you book a same day multi-drop, it's often because some guy hasn't turned up. So first thing they're going to do is they're going to ring around all their people, see if they can get someone in. Then they're going to get you in. So you're now 2 hours later than you should have started. And then if you're not used to the route, you're going to go the long way round and not drop there and not drop here and all that kind of stuff. That's going to add another 2 hours on the route. So if you can book the day before, at least you'll eliminate the 2 hours of not getting there 2 hours later because someone hasn't turned up for work, and that's probably reasonable advice. Mark Newman says, we run the no claims bonus thing now. Can you move it from your car to your van? He says, I took my no claims bonus from my car to my van. It seems not all insurance companies will accept it. Van line directed. So if you want to try them, give them a bash. Like I say, we use Business Choice Direct. Not every, they work for us, but you do you. So Van Line Direct apparently will let you take your own car to a van. That could be a bonus for people out there. Arpad says, in respect to the no claims bonus, pay attention and read the small print. I think what he's saying is, you say that you've moved the no claims bonus over, insurance people will take your money. Even if they know you're lying to them, they will take your money. Because what happens is they'll happily take that like £100 a month off you, and then the second you have an accident, they just go, we're not paying. And they go, why are you not paying? Because you said you didn't have any points on your licence, and we know you've got 6. And then you're giving them money for nothing. So that's pointless. David Taylor says, from the research I've done, we're not short, because of people saying we might be short of drivers. I think Ian with 2 eyes said we're short of drivers. He said, we're not short of drivers. The industry is short on jobs that pay well. He said, I've been thinking of doing my Class 2 licence, so not a driver yet. I'm sure you're a driver, my friend. You're just not driving a Class 2 lorry, but you could be driving a van or driving a car or driving a motor scooter. I don't know. T says, What about if you have a customer and you found yourself and a job comes up for them in the courier exchange? Are you poaching a customer of yours? Could you ask for priority? I might do a video on that, mate. But I would say if you've a customer that you're working with, and then you turn up on someone else's behalf, you're going to say you're on their behalf, and then they go, well, we know you're not, and then you kind of just got to be honest with them. My line was always, I'm a approved subcontractor, we have our own set of vans, we've got friends who have their own set of vans, sometimes they do our jobs, sometimes we do their jobs, we use each other because we know we're trustworthy and we can do the thing. That's the way I would go into it. And also, I'd question why they didn't ring you first. If they're your customer, they should have phoned you. But yeah, it's a slightly grey area, that one, but I think as long as you just lead with that line, and then at the end of the day, if you have to tell the truth, you have to tell the truth. But at least if you try not to, you kind of cover yourself. Danny Richardson, he says, we're on pallets. Does anyone say pallets in their home or yard and sell them on the pallet ways and stuff like that? Because, you know, Dave Cosley, and he goes on, he says that he sells his pallets at Dave Cosley. He said, I'm getting £2 for standards, £2 for dirty E-Pals, £4 for clean E-Pals, and £1 for lights. And the long figure says, I tried it, it was a pain for pennies. I did the same. When I started, Good Friday came out. It was the most beautiful Good Friday. It was warm, it was blue, it was like today, but warm, like a right sort of lovely azure summer's day on a Côte d'Azur or something like that. But I was beating myself up about the fact I was having a day off, so instead I went up the yard and I spent the whole morning shifting pallets. I didn't stack the van properly, which didn't help, so I probably had to do 3 or 4 shuttle runs, because there is a pallet place about 2 miles up the road from the yard. Done the whole thing. At the end of the day, the guy gave me 35 quid. I ain't doing that again. You know, busy fools. There's plenty of work for those who work for nothing. And so I did say to him, look, if that's what you're going to do. I was hoping for like £100, 30 quid a hit. They don't get that much money. I personally agree with Longfinger. I tend to just, what I do is, if I can't get the pallets off, I've got one on at the moment after the multi-drop I did on Friday. Next place I go to, I say, do you want a pallet, mate? Is pallet any good to you? Sooner or later someone will say, yes, stick it over there. Or, as someone else says, that's right, as Chris C says, it's probably a bit naughty, but usually if I have a pallet, I just wait till I get to a place with a load of pallets piled up somewhere and stick it on top. I do the same. Sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't. Kenneth McKenzie says, I've got a long wheelbase 2015 Sprinter. It has 2 side windows on a sliding door, the other on the opposite side. Can I use it for courier work? My mate has like a 16 long wheelbase Sprinter, has 3 windows on each side. Can you use them for courier work? I was wondering if there are specific requirements. I would say you can. There's a difference between turning up in a van and turning up in a camper van, or turning up in a car with a trailer. They want to see a van. What I would do is I'd get a bit of like sort of black paper, that kind of cardboard stuff that you used to get at school, or just card, or the card looks a bit scruffy. Cut it to the size of the window and maybe get some double-sided tape and stick it on there. If it's a white van, get some white card and stick it on there. They won't even notice it's got a window then. But that's what I would do. I would get something just to fill the window. Get a bit of white card if your van's white, get a Stanley knife, cut round the shape, bit of double-sided sticky tape, bosh, you should be perfectly fine. If you have to park it overnight and someone breaks in and steals a load, that's down to you, but that's down to all of us. You might have windows in your van, I've got a curtain, I know which one's going to be easier to get into. Stanley knife down the side of mine. So, there you go. Domain name guy. He said he said, right, there is apparently a good Mercedes Sprinter, one side curtain side, the other side box, which is kind of ideal because you can do rigid and curtain with that one, with a railing, tail lift, Euro 6 3.5 ton van, has just been advertised for sale on JS Vans YouTube channel, ideal for CX. So if anyone's that is like the ideal van. I don't even know if it's still there, but he put the ticket out. JS Vans YouTube. Have a look. Hong Kong Fui says, anyone using Courier Market? I've never used anything Barney Exchange for no other reason than I've never used anything Barney Exchange. We did try returnloads.net. I think we're still paying for it. Never got a single job out of it. I don't know. Anyone using Courier Market, please let me know and I shall pass it on to the detective dog. QDear. Hi Pete, thanks for the video. It says, what software do you use for your accounts and can you recommend any? We use QuickBooks. Al does it. I started to think I was going to do it, and then my time just got usurped, and now he's in the office. He sorts all that kind of stuff out, so it's QuickBooks for us. I'll have to talk to him about that. And also, James Marshall says, any idea what's a good bank account to use? Confused, there's so many out there. I know you can shop around and get free ones. Once again, it's one of the things in your life, can't be bothered with all the grief. I just use Lloyd's. The thing about Lloyd's is there's branches everywhere, and it's going to cost me money. It cost me like £20 a month to actually. I fail to see why it cost me money when I've got money in my bank account to pay them. But it's what you do. And if it's Lloyd's, you say Lloyd's, people recognise Lloyd's. The transferring thing seems to work okay. I think they're all much of a muchness, to be honest with you. There are ways. Anyone who knows any better, please let me know and I'll pass it on. So maybe wait a week on that one. But I know, like Daniel Grumber's Superhero Transport Manager has found a way of getting it. It was like, a First Direct Bank or something like that, and they will give you free business banking. I never got that far involved. I just thought it started. It's £20 a month, or somewhere around that lines. I'll do more money on this. Don't touch me, Mew Mew. Names are great. He says he wants to buy a Luton van and get drivers on the laptop. Like I said earlier on, not everybody wants. You can be a shipper, you can be a driver. Any feedback? How to start? Yeah, basically what I think he wants to do is he wants to get a laptop and run things. You need to get your own. My advice would be, if you can, try running yourself on a van in the exchange first for a little while. Because it's a bit like the problem I always had when I was a market trader is the people that work the office have never actually ran a market stall. So when they go, we're going to improve the market, they don't know how to do it because they've never done it. I think, and I would wager that there's no one on the courier exchange that's actually been a courier driver. I think it will give you much more insight if you actually did do it yourself. And then, of course, when drivers ring you up and go, I can't do this, I can't do that, you go, no, you can. Because I used to do what you do and I did it. Having said that, if you don't want to be a driver, and I totally understand that, you need to get your end user customers. You need to find a good way of getting your own end user customer. It's going to be work, it's going to be shoe leather, it's going to be a lot of time, because you'll need the exchange up and running before you get the end user customers. Otherwise, the second they place a job, you can't do it. And then when you can't do it, they're not your customer anymore. So, but yeah, that's what I would say. You probably have to subscribe and then go I would have the system in place to get your end user customers, subscribe, and then go for it to get them customers in as quickly as you possibly can. And best of luck with that one, because they are like hen's teeth. And finally on this score, before we get on to the last bit, Emmanuel Zazigi says the clips are helpful. He said, do they need parking proof on writing for parking company? Or I'm sure, mate, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say, I don't understand your question. I'm sorry. Do they need the parking proof on writing for the parking company, or do they need the name and location? A bit more information on that one, my friend. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there, but it's there anyway. So, yeah, if you could tell me a bit more, maybe we can get you an answer on that one. So, in conclusion, we've got Jason Burke. I'll call Jason, the friend to the cats. After spending 25, I'm just telling you what he's put. After 25 years of working in sales, sitting in an office, managing teams, and dealing with angry customers and useless suppliers, I kind of know that from the market. I gave it all up to drive a van for a living. The past 2 years have been the most happiest of my life. My only regret is I wish I'd done it years ago. At least you've done it now, mate. It's never too late. Don't do it because it's going to take too long, so time will pass anyway. Please, you're at me. Ian Shepherd, he says, great videos. He says, you work for DAF and they used to call 7.5 tonne shoe boxes. I've never heard of that. I called it a puddle jumper. Anyone else heard of a DAF as a shoebox? I guess because it's like small, right? I don't know. CT Blair says, Pete the Puddle Jumper is a definite bestseller. I think so. Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder, Pete the Puddle Jumper. Can you deliver it? Oh, yes, you can. Yes, I can. I can do that. Go for it. Also, the LEZ is coming to Glasgow later this year. This is something that's troubling me. I'm looking at Euro 6 truck and everywhere. Manchester, Glasgow, London, Bath. You can't drive without paying more money. So I don't know how long I've been. Well, it's in my price range. I'm happy with the Euro 5 trucks, yeah. Craig Butler says, don't... Oh, yeah, right. The amount of people, and there's a few, Craig, you probably haven't been watching this, but that say... bag of sand. I did it. My second most viewed video, believe it or not, is nothing to do with the CX. It's to do with one I did a million years ago when I was doing market trading videos about how to talk money in Cockney. And a few people have said, when you're talking, I call £1,000 a piano. How much did you take on Monday? I've nearly done a piano. Call it a piano. You can work out why. Actually, there's a video on it. And he says, you did the video. He said, about people go, bag of sand. Lads, I'll tell you now, no one says bag of sand. And I'll do a video explaining why. So if you're watching and expecting one to turn up about vans, and suddenly a video comes out about why Cockneys do not refer to £1,000 a bag of sand, that's why. And finally, Corrigan 71 says, OMG 51, you must be a smoker. Yeah, none taken. Actually, no, mate. I'll tell you what it was. It's been a stressful life, and all those years outside in the elements, outside in the sunshine more than anything else. 25 years of standing outside in the sunshine, but I don't mind. I never minded looking old. I remember there's a Cure album. I'm not a Cure fan, but I remember the cover of it because I used to work on a record store, and I think it was called The Summit Man and the Old Man. And there's this guy, there's a boat, and there's this guy on the front, and he's like this, old, wrinkly, and I always used to think he's got an interesting face. My best friend Nigel has got he's got lines, but the reason he's got lines is he just spent his entire life laughing so much. I wish my lines were that reason. But anyhow, it's it done. Got it all done in one go. It's a long one, but we got it done. More coming next week. On the hunt for a truck now. So in the meantime, take care, take money.